Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Video Clips. And just a couple of announcements. I haven't mentioned this for a while, but we are still doing all of the anxiety and depression groups for adolescents, for adults, COVID specific, not COVID specific. And very soon we're going to have a new video program to support that. Anybody who's participating in the live conference calls will get access to the videos as well. And then you can just purchase the video version if you want to. So I know that things are still very stressful. We're trying to do our best to make services available as much as we can for as little money as we possibly can manage and that sort of thing. And I hear wonderful things. I know the therapist personally who's involved in conducting these sessions, and she's really, really wonderful. So if you're struggling out there, I would strongly encourage you to contact us and join these sessions. We've made group therapy by phone about as economical as we can make it. And I think you'll get more out of it than maybe many of the things you've done in the past. The other thing I'll mention is that every Thursday at noon, I hold a conference call to share our strategy for making Americans free again. I provide guidance on how to organize and work with us. We're getting ready to file our lawsuits in 2 more states very soon. Very exciting. I'll be able to tell you which ones soon. And also on Thursday nights is the Make Americans Free Again Columbus Central Ohio meeting. Upcoming teleconference classes. Food allergies is in February 10th. Research boot camp, February 6th. I talked about that yesterday. And the HIV/AIDS boot camp, Friday, Saturday, March 5th and 6th. So if you're interested in those things, pampopper@msn.com is my email address. All right, Wednesday is the day that I talk about more personal things. I'm getting more comfortable doing it. I can't say I love it, but I'm more comfortable doing it. And I picked a quote from Martin Luther King that I think is just spectacular for the times that we're living in, certainly spoke to me. And here it goes. You may be 38 years old, as I happen to be, and one day some great opportunity stands before you and calls you to stand up for some great principle, some great issue, some great cause, and you refuse to do it because you are afraid. You refuse to do it because you want to live longer. You're afraid that you will lose your job, or you're afraid that you'll be criticized, or you will lose your popularity, or you're afraid that somebody will stab you or shoot at you or bomb your house, so you refuse to take the stand. Well, you may go on and live till you're 90, but you're just as dead at 38 as you would be at 90. And the cessation of breathing in your life is but the belated announcement of an earlier death of the spirit. Martin Luther King Jr. And boy, did that remind me of the times we live in. And I certainly don't think that I'm ever in my lifetime going to accomplish anything nearly as much as what Martin Luther King Jr. accomplished. So I don't want to compare myself to him. But it spoke to me because I think that the situation in which Martin Luther King found himself, in which I found myself in earlier last year, are similar. I had a comfortable life. My business was doing well. I had some free time for the first time in a long time. I've never thought that I would retire. It doesn't appeal to me at all. And I love what I do, but I did think that the next project that I would take on would require less time and effort than the previous ones, just because I had more infrastructure and help and resources. I was looking at my journal. I do this periodically. I'm not a real dedicated journal keeper, but I do write things down that I think are important. I was looking at my journal at the beginning of last year, and one of the things I wrote down was I wanted to spend more unstructured time at the lake, reading on the beach and sharing good wine with friends. Well, that obviously didn't happen because all of this happened, and what followed was a series of choices. And the first choice was to do the research and report the truth, or take the cowardly route and bury my head in the sand and wait for it to pass. Well, I sure would have been waiting a long time. But I didn't know that at the time, and I decided to do the former, and that was easy. I've reported the truth about a lot of medical scandals. In fact, most of what's gone on during the last 25 years that I've been in this business in medicine is, I think, kind of scandalous, and I've taken a lot of heat for many things that I've said, so that wasn't a hard decision to make. So tell the truth it would be. But then the second choice was whether or not to stay the course when the real trouble started. Many of my former colleagues who formerly claimed to follow the science, a term I've grown to despise through all of this, turned out to be just as misinformed as mainstream medicine, as soon as they stopped talking about protein and broccoli. Sticking to my guns would mean excommunication from my tribe. I stuck to my guns and I decided to let the chips fall where they may. Of course, the hate mail followed for a time, and more than a few threats were made concerning my safety and even my life. Fortunately, these have been reduced to 1 or 2 per month as it's become more apparent what's really going on here. I mean, it's very difficult to argue with some of this. My March 10th, 2020 video turned out to be spot on, and the hundreds of pages of evidence accompanying our lawsuit support every claim I made, and many other credible people have made the same claims too. So here we are, almost a year later, and as I reflect back, it's interesting. I've lost nothing that really matters, as it turns out. And part of it, I think that we're all going through, what we're all going through together, is figuring out what does really matter. And a lot of things that we thought were important a year ago turned out to be not so much. We lost one associate who was easily replaced. I've lost some colleagues who've been replaced by real scientists who really do follow the science. And again, I hate that term, but it's the one we use. They actually do read the medical literature and check things out before they say anything. And I'm much more compatible with this new tribe. I've lost a couple of friends who've been replaced by thinking people who I enjoy spending time with even more. And I'm still alive. And to Martin Luther King Jr.'s point, not just breathing, but really alive and full of energy and with my spirit intact. And I might add my integrity too. I'm glad I chose this route as I observe the sheep who will do anything the state tells them to do. I've learned not to be angry at them anymore, but rather sorry for them, because what they suffer from is a plague from which one never recovers. So perhaps I'll inspire some of you to take a stand like I did and join our effort. We're gaining momentum now, and I've organized my life around this new level of activity, which I can see is going to go on for a very long time, but I can see that in the long term, we're going to overwhelm the system, the terrible, diabolic system in which we're trying to function, with well thought out strategies, hard work, and sheer numbers. I think the thing we can take some inspiration from is that our country was built by determined, scrappy people who had all the odds against them, but shared a grand vision and believed that with God on their side, they could prevail against all odds. History is filled with stories of how good has won over evil, even when things seem hopeless for a while. And I know some of you feel hopeless from time to time, and I want you to not feel that way. We can do something about this. We are doing something about this. And this is your great opportunity to stand up for a great principle and a great cause, freedom from medical tyranny, and bringing the perpetrators of crimes against humanity to justice. So join our movement and we can make this happen sooner. We are going to make Americans free again, and we're going to be the model for the rest of the world. They're watching what we're doing and they will follow our lead. So help us make Americans free again and make the world free too. And then we can all look back when we're 90 or however long we have the privilege to live on this planet and not have just existed for that period of time, but really done something and stood for something and made a difference. My email address is pampopper@msn.com. And if you want to join our effort, please email me and I'll show you how. And of course, pass this on to anybody who you think might enjoy watching it and learning more about all of this COVID stuff. And I'll be back to you tomorrow with more news.